More somber one today for Memorial Day. Memorial Day is one of the few holidays that I feel. As some of you are aware, I spent 15 years on active duty in the U.S. Army. Went to Afghanistan 05-06 with the 173rd. Went to Iraq 08-09 with the 172nd. Just turned out that way. War is terrible. I'm proud that I'm served. I'm glad that I did. I think I did a lot of good things there. But when it comes to Memorial Day, I have an attitude that might be a little bit different from a lot of the stuff you're getting in your feed. Mainly sales. Capitalism is good, and I understand needing to save a buck on some things. But I get offended when it turns into a commercial holiday. The story I want to tell you that I have not told before, and I will leave his name out in case there are family members who can identify who this might be, because I am also very aware that the stories that families and civilians hear after the fact are not always exactly the way things happened. This is Afghanistan, late 2005, early 2006. My team was operating out of a mud hut compound, literally an Afghan compound that the U.S. government was paying for, along with about 16 infantrymen and some Afghan police. I know it was later in the deployment because they had tried to set up a school for the local village, funded via various paths that all that stuff comes from, and they got the school set up and were having trouble getting students because people were afraid of it, or the Taliban was threatening them, or it was just against their culture. Trying to teach simple things like literacy and things like that. We had students start to come in for a little while, and then all of a sudden they weren't there anymore. And it turned out there had been some bad dudes in the area that were threatening. I forget the details exactly. There might have been some violence that had occurred that needed to be responded to by the infantry. I personally did not go on this mission because it was meant to be a small, quick in and out. So my team did what we did, and we provided the intelligence to make sure that things weren't going to get out of hand any quicker than they turned out to already do. There was a young lieutenant. Those who've been in the service know all the jokes about lieutenants are generally true, largely because lieutenants come fresh out of college and they don't have the time and service or experience that the NCOs, the sergeants, have, and so that's where a lot of the jokes come from. But they often come in with good spirits and good intents and a serious sense of responsibility and leadership. And this lieutenant, running the school and being involved with the school is not at all part of his line of work, but he was personally moved by trying to make this change in this small valley in the middle of nowhere, Afghanistan. And when it was decided by the infantry that they were going to make a raid on the guy that was causing trouble in the middle of the night, he volunteered to go. Again, he was not an infantryman. It was not his skill set per se, but he rolled with infantry, and we all were young and felt invincible. We had the IBA at the time, which was a soft armor vest with rifle plates in front and back. And as I understood it, he came around a corner inside this compound that was being raided and caught a round right here out of an AK, which goes right through that soft armor and went through both lungs and then back out the other side. He suffocated / bled out rather rapidly. They brought him back to our compound along with some prisoners, and things were taken care of from there. I don't want to go too much more into that part, but the point is, this young lieutenant who lost his life in Afghanistan did so wanting to protect the school. When he signed up, he may or may not have wanted to go to war. He may or may not have had feelings about Afghanistan, about the Taliban, all that. That really doesn't matter. Ultimately, what matters is he, like the rest of us, wrote that blank check and that check was cashed, all for a cause that he could have just as easily ignored or not taken part of, or put a support the troops sticker up or something like that, and not even been in that mess in the first place. And that to me is the real tragedy in war. And all casualties of war should be remembered from both sides, from any side, for any reason, because to them as individuals, why they were there is something that we don't know, and quite often probably something that we could identify with on a personal level if we knew it. The point is, a life was lost that likely didn't need to be lost, and those are the folks that I think of on Memorial Day. Didn't mean to be a big downer. I know this is kind of a heavy thing. I try to keep details light for the sake of keeping things light, but please, veteran or not, whether or not you know a veteran, remember that Memorial Day is for the fallen, and try to take that seriously, because whether or not it was a cause you supported or believed in, whether or not it was a cause that directly threatened your way of life, what we celebrate today are fellow Americans who were willing to do what the government needed and didn't come home. Thanks for watching.